Hi, boys and girls. Are you ready to write a narrative? I know that I am. Remember, a personal narrative is a true story about something that you did. So here are some ideas that might help you think about what to write about. So there's going to the movies, there's playing at the playground, there's losing a tooth. That would be fun to write about how you lost the tooth and what happened. You could write about playing outside. You could write about gardening or swimming. You could write about how you went in the water. You could write about doing your technology. My goodness, that would be a narrative about virtual school. You could write about taking care of pets, or maybe you want to write about making food. Maybe you baked some cookies or you made lunch. That's something you could write a narrative about. Maybe you want to write about eating a meal or going to a cabin or the mountains. Maybe you took a trip that you could write about. Maybe you want to write about a birthday party that you had, or a birthday party that you went to. Maybe you want to write about going to the beach. Maybe you went to the beach and walked in the sand or got wet in the water. Maybe you want to write about playing with toys. Maybe you built a great big Lego castle that you can write about. Maybe you want to write about spending time with your family. We've done a lot of that lately. There's a good narrative topic. Or maybe some work at school. Maybe you want to write a narrative about how you made a report. Maybe you want to write about sports, playing soccer. Maybe you want to write a story about playing with a friend. What did you play? Who were you with? Tell me that narrative story. Or maybe you could write a story about visiting your grandparents. Whatever your topic is for your narrative, take a minute and think about it. I'm going to stop the video for just a minute so that you can pick your topic. Hi, boys and girls. Were you able to think of a topic? I did. I actually had something happen when I was playing outside with my daughter, Katie. And that's what I'm going to write my personal narrative about. But before I do that, I want to take a minute and review what we look for when we write a personal narrative. So boys and girls, remember, a personal narrative is a story about you. And the first thing that you need to do is think of a true thing that happened or that you did that you could write about. The next thing you want to make sure your personal narrative has is that you tell me who was in the story. I know you are in the story because it's a story about you, but who else was in the story? Was your mom in the story? Was your dad in the story? Did you have a friend in your story? Does your brother or sister belong in this narrative? Think about who is with you in this story. And of course, number 3, what happened? And if you remember the boy that wrote about taking his dog to the vet, he used words like first, then, next, and last. That helps you to keep your story in order so that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you're telling your story in order. And then the last thing you want to do when you write a personal narrative, before you write, tell your story to someone. That helps you to know what you're going to write about. Okay, I'm going to get a minute. I'm going to get my supplies. I'm going to get some paper and pencil so that I can write my narrative with you. See you in a minute. Hi, boys and girls. I hope you had a chance to get some paper and a pencil, and you have your ideas and you're ready to go. So before I start writing, I do want to tell my story. I want to think about it and tell my story before I actually put the words down on paper. So my story is this. This is a narrative, a true story about something that really happened to Mrs. Michelle. I was playing outside with my daughter Katie when a big swarm of bees came right over our head. And Katie ran in the house and I screamed. But finally, the bees flew away and we were safe and sound. And that was exciting. So I'm going to start my story. Okay, so it went like this. I love writing power words, playing outside with, trying to remember my 5-star writing, Katie. That is my daughter's name. And then I'm going to stop that sentence and I'm going to use another word. I'm going to write then. Do you remember what happened then? A big swarm of bees. Boy, that's easy to sound out. Bees came. I'm going to put an exclamation point because that was kind of exciting. So far my narrative is telling what happened. I was playing outside with Katie. Then a big swarm of bees came. I know I'm in the story and I know Katie's in the story, so I'm sure to tell who is in the story. And then I want to tell what happened. And what happened next? Katie, oh dear, I need another piece of paper, screamed and ran in the house. And now I'm going to end my story. Finally, the bees flew away and we were safe. Exclamation point. And then with a narrative, it's sometimes fun to wrap it up. So let's review my story. I know I have to go back and do my illustration, and I'll do that in just a minute. But my story says, I was playing outside with Katie. Then a big swarm of bees came. Next, Katie screamed and ran in the house. Finally, the bees flew away and we were safe. And it's kind of fun with a narrative to wrap it up. So I'm going to write how it made me feel. And with that, I'm going to write, it was, and it was kind of scary when all those bees came. Scary. Good. Okay, I'm going to take a second and do my illustration, and then I will have written a narrative. Okay, boys and girls, I think my narrative is all finished now. I got my illustration done. It matches my story. So as you can see, I have me in the picture and I have Katie. A narrative always has the people that are in your story in the illustration. And there's the bees, of course. And I did add some speech bubbles to both Katie and myself because that brings those characters to life. So for me, I'm saying bees. And for Katie, I'm saying ah. And then on my next page where I finished my story, I have Katie in the house because that's where she ran. And here I said, we are safe because the bees flew away. And that's how my narrative ended. So if you have a great bug story that you want to write about, maybe you've seen an interesting insect and you'd like to share that, or any topic that we talked about at the beginning of the video. Have fun writing your narrative. I cannot wait to see them. Okay, bye for now.